In today's halacha, we are going to discuss the laws involved with one who did not recite the extra paragraphs of Vichen, Tein, Pachdecha that is included in the Rosh Hashanah Davening. As well, we will discuss the law regarding Shacharis in the morning, if it is permitted for one to eat or drink before Shacharis on Rosh Hashanah. So regarding a person that skipped the paragraph Vichen, Tein, Pachdecha, and this is not an uncommon occurrence, as sometimes if a person just lifts his eyes from the siddur for a few moments from the machzor and continues to read in his usual common tongue, then as soon as he begins the saying of the After Kodesh, he'll continue straight and just end up Baruch Atah Hashem HaMelech HaKodesh, and he may skip the entire paragraph or number of paragraphs of Vichen, Tein, Pachdecha that actually discuss the kingship of Hashem and is one of the most beautiful prayers that are added to Shemana Esrei. So the question is this additional prayer something that invalidates the Shemana Esrei or not? So a number of Paiskim of Achreinim bring the Pri-Chodesh, the Maimon Mordechai, the Chaya Adam, the Mat Ephraim, Shulchanaruchharav, that if one skipped it, he is to continue with Shemana Esrei and he has fulfilled his obligation. So if one by mistake said HaMelech HaKodesh without saying those paragraphs in the machzor, he is to simply continue with Shemana Esrei, and of course he does not repeat Shemana Esrei after he is finished. The reason for this is, says the Pri-Chodesh, is because the saying of the Vichen, Tein, Pachdecha is merely a minhag, and since it's a minhag, therefore it does not have invalidating power if one skips it. Nonetheless, in such a case, one may choose to say the additional nusach of the Vichen, Tein, Pachdecha at the end of Shemana Esrei prior to reciting the second Yehiratzin. In a case that one remembered to recite Vichen, Tein, Pachdecha after he already said Baruch Atah Hashem in the concluding bracha of HaMelech HaKodesh, then he may not do as some Paiskim suggest regarding other situations and conclude Davening Chukecha, and rather he must conclude HaMelech HaKodesh. He is then to immediately continue with Ata V'chartanu, and he is not to add the additional nusach of Vichen, Tein, Pachdecha in between the conclusion of HaMelech HaKodesh and V'ata B'chartanu. Now, although there are instances that Paiskim allow reciting the extra nusach in between the two brachas, nevertheless, since this is a mere minhag, one may not do so, and he may not say it in its place that it wasn't placed. And therefore, in summary, with the evidence someone skipped this bracha, the most he can do is recite at the end of davening, and his Shemana Esrei remains valid. Regarding the second point, is it permitted for one to eat prior to Shacharis on Rosh Hashanah? So in this regard, we find three different customs. Even amongst Anash, there exist different customs. Many of Chabad Chassidim are accustomed to simply not eat and not drink anything until after Tkiyah Shofar. And being that Tkiyah Shofar takes place in middle of davening, after Kriyas HaTorah before Musaf, many of these people who follow this custom, they end up not eating or drinking, thus fasting, until about 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon when Musaf is concluded and they can begin Kiddush. Another custom, also amongst Anash, is that some are nohig not to eat, but they do drink, have water, have a coffee, have a tea before Shacharis. In other communities, especially in Hasidic communities, it is a wide practice to have an actual Kiddush after Kriyas HaTorah prior to Tkiyah Shofar. And thus after davening, they make Kiddush and they eat and drink. And in fact, in some communities, they are accustomed to not even make Kiddush. And before Tkiyah Shofar, they simply have a tea to drink or a coffee. What is the right path to follow? What is the correct halacha? What is the correct custom? So ideally, prior to fulfilling a mitzvah, we all know that it is forbidden to set a meal. And this is brought regarding many different issues in halacha, such as before mincha, before ma'ariv, before bdikas chametz. And there's many other instances that it is forbidden for a person to eat before he does the mitzvah, for the simple reason, Shema Yishachach, perhaps he will forget to do the mitzvah. So the same seemingly would apply to Tkiyah Shofar, that it is forbidden to eat before Tkiyah Shofar, because he may come to forget to do the mitzvah. Thus, although there are people that eat and drink before davening to have kavanah for davening, since they themselves are makbid not to eat before saying Krishma of the morning, and rather first say Krishma and then have Mezainis, so too, we don't eat before fulfilling the mitzvah of Tkiyah Shofar. What's seemingly puzzling, however, is this entire discussion of eating before Shofar is actually omitted in Shulchanaruch and the Nesei Kelim. And we only find it brought regarding Lulav in the Shulchanaruch, eating prior to Lulav, and the Achreinim, the later Achreinim, bring it also regarding Shofar, such as the Matei Ephraim, that discusses this issue. So another issue brought up is that, how far does this Isser of eating extend? Does it include drink? Does it include a snack? Or is it only a meal? Because in general, the Isser of eating before doing a mitzvah that is set for a certain time is to have a set meal, but to have a snack is permitted. So practically it is argued amongst the Achreinim whether it is permitted to eat a snack before Tkiyah Shofar. And L'maisa, what majority of Achreinim conclude is that one should not eat even a snack prior to hearing Shofar unless he is weak or sick. But someone who is not weak or sick, he should not eat anything before Tkiyah Shofar, even a mere snack. And therefore, even those that are noig to eat before davening should not eat anything before davening. Nevertheless, there are communities that are lenient in this, and thus, as we said before, they are accustomed to eat after Kriyas HaTorah before Tkiyah Shofar. Regarding fasting, those that are accustomed to fast, what is the source of their custom? Why do they fast? Because even according to the stringent opinion that forbids snacking before Tkiyah Shofar, it is nevertheless permitted to drink. So their reason is, not based on the halachic issue, but based on a famous psak of the Rekeach, a famous Ashkenazi Pesach and Kabbalist in the 1200s, which ruled that it is a minhag, it is a custom to fast before a mitzvah chaviva, a beloved mitzvah that comes from time to time. And he uses this to explain why we fast on the day of our wedding. As it is a mitzvah that only comes from time to time. And the same would apply regarding Shofar. And thus we're accustomed to not eat or not drink anything until after Tkiyah Shofar. This is the basis of those that are accustomed not to eat and drink. And this is followed by many of Anash. However, the question is asked that this contradicts the halacha, because it is forbidden to fast on Yom Tov, as written in the Alter Rebbe and in other places, that it is forbidden to fast on Yom Tov. So on what basis can we not eat and not drink anything until after Musaf? So this is explained also in Achrein, that on Rosh Hashanah, since there are opinions that hold it to mitzvah to fast on Rosh Hashanah, therefore it is even permitted lechatchila to fast until past Chatzos. So there's no problem in avoiding eating and drinking until after Shofar, until after Musaf. Nonetheless, practically, even amongst Anash, there are many that are accustomed to have a drink, to have a coffee, to have a tea prior to davening, and they do not follow the words of the Rekeach to the utmost extent of actual fasting. And this is brought down in the name of Zalman Shimon Dvorkin, and that he told the Bachim and Teichet Tvimim that is also what they can follow. And this is also what I was told by one of the Rabbanim of the Shchuna, Rav Avram Ozdaba, that there was no issue at all with drinking, and that this was accustomed to be done in the morning prior to Shachris on the day of Tkiyah Shofar. So in conclusion, L'maisa, we do not eat prior to Tkiyah Shofar unless one is sick or is not feeling well, in which case he can eat prior to davening. And in this, mention should be made that even in such a case, the Ar Chodim, the Ateres Kenim, the Eish Lavomid Bochach, that rule that the Chatchila, even then, they should first hear Shofar before davening and only then eat even a snack. But nonetheless, from the letter of the law, they are allowed to eat even before Tkiyah Shofar if it is a mere snack. If it's an actual meal that they need to eat, which is 55 grams of mezainis, then from the letter of the law, they must hear Tkiyah Shofar before they do so. Regarding everyone else, so as we mentioned, the two minhagim, some are noig to only drink and some are noig even not to drink and fast until after Musaf. Regarding women, so min hadin, it should seem that women are allowed to eat and drink before Shofar without any limitation, as they are not obligated to hear Shofar, as brought in the laws of Shofar. Nonetheless, it's brought by the Butchasher, the Eish Lavram, and the Ateres Kenim, Shulchanaruchharav, that even women do not eat at all prior to Shofar. And the reason is because women have accepted upon themselves the mitzvah of hearing Shofar, just like an actual chiyuv, as the Alter Rebbe brings down in chapter 17, Halacha 3, that they accepted it upon themselves as an obligation. And therefore, Halacha l'maisa, a regular woman should follow the same as a man and not eat prior to Tkiyah Shofar if she's able to. She may drink, as we already said earlier, that even men from the letter of the law are allowed to drink, and it's only due to the rekech that they don't do so. Regarding eating a snack, so a woman who is pregnant, nursing, or feels weak, there's certainly room for them to be lenient, to have a snack beforehand, and if they feel that they need to even eat an actual meal of mezainis, more than 55 grams of mezainis, then they may also do so, as we said earlier, that they are not chayiv min adin in the midst of shofar. Nonetheless, the Arachayim that came in Avram, that rule that in all cases that a woman feels she needs to eat, if possible, she should hear shofar beforehand. However, b'poil, as we said before, that a woman who feels that she must eat a meal and she's not able to hear shofar, she may eat beforehand, as rules the Chaya Adam and Kitzur Shulchanarukh.